And so some of you have like public pools that you go to in the summer, but people that live in Engedi don't go to a public pool. They go to Engedi for their public pool. And you got like 5 levels, and then up above that is where the natives kind of live. And so the cool thing about here, though, is so Saul's trying to kill David, right? And David is hiding in Engedi, and Saul hears that he's here, and so he goes to Engedi, and then he has to go to the bathroom, and David's men say, hey, you can go ahead and kill him now. And David has probably one of those moments where he takes a sword and he's about to kill him, and then he cuts his robe. And he says, as he's running away, he says, I could have killed you, but I chose not to. This is a brick that that was older, and this was made out of straw, and it just kind of made me reminded how reliable that straw was to Israelites, especially when they were slaves to Pharaoh. And when Pharaoh got mad at them because they were listening to Moses, that he said, all right, I'm taking away your straw, and you have to make the same amount of bricks that you made with the straw. All right. These are Jesus' life and places that he went to. One of the places that he went to, or grew up at, is Nazareth. And this is a synagogue that they think that's where it was at, but they're not for sure. Like Mount Carmel was a place they know for sure that's where it was at. But this, they're not for sure. And but anyway, so one day, Jesus is probably a teenager, like 20 or something like that, and he's reading his scrolls, and the Israelites like get mad at him, or not the Israelites, but the Nazarenes get mad at him, and an angry mob tries to throw him off this cliff, and he's kind of like a ghost, and he goes through the crowd and never returns. This is a cool slide because of how the tools are. Jesus would have used these tools, and so would Joseph have used these tools. This is a kind of like a road that they would have used back then, and it's not like our average sidewalk that you walk out of the church and you see a sidewalk. These roads are huge for many people to walk on. And then if you see that girl, that's how they would have dressed. This is a cool slide because we always know the picture or the cartoons of the sheep's the good guy and the goat's the bad guy, and how the sheep always wins. And then the shepherd leads the sheep, and the shepherd is kind of like God, and the sheep are us, but the goat is Satan. And an interesting thing I found out there is that if the sheep don't know where the shepherd is, they'll follow the goat. So if we don't know where Jesus is, we're going to follow Satan. And then here is a mustard seed. A mustard seed is kind of like where it's now getting winter, one of my favorite times of the year, and all the leaves are starting to fall off. So as we see all these leaves falling off in the springtime, they'll naturally see a mustard seed. And this is kind of cool because in Matthew 13, if you want to look this up, he uses a thing that he sees every day in Israel. And he says, if we had as much faith as that mustard seed, the world would be a different place. All right. So this is a millstone. Now, we all know the story in Luke 17:2, where Jesus says that I'd rather you have a millstone tied to your neck and cast in the ocean than you to harm a child. And this just shows you how much Jesus loved little kids. And a millstone was used to grind grain, like crushed grain. And it would the job would be done by like a person a little older than my age. This is an olive oil press. And this is kind of cool because it reminded me that the church comes first. that extra virgin olive oil would go to the temple or the church. And they had 3 different kinds of olive oil that was pressed. And then the second would go to the cooking, like when mom makes your food, that's where it would go to. And then the third would be for your lamps and hinges. This is a scale, and I learned some life lessons here on the scale, how to cheat somebody and to getting money. My grandfather taught me that over there. But anyway, we know the story of how Jesus sees the person at the temple cheating everybody, and he was either probably putting their thumb on the scale, or it was unbalanced. And so then God, or Jesus, flips all these tables over. All right. This is a cool slide, I think. The reason why I think this is so cool is because of how we all know the story of the lame man and how he got healed and how he went through the roof when he did this. And so we think, when I think of this story, I think how in the cartoons they take that saw and then they make like a square around them and they fall under. But it's not exactly like that. They have 3 layers of dirt, they have straw, and they have wood. And the hard part wouldn't be like getting it apart. The hard part would be putting it back up. And it just kind of reminded me of that. All right, Chorazin was my favorite place. I'll just tell you now, my favorite place in all of Israel. And what was so cool here is the stairs, first of all. And the stairs were so cool because of how they were shaped. Some were long, some were really short, and so you would have to look down on these stairs. And so you may be thinking of like, oh, what are we having for dinner tonight? Or something like that. But when you walk up those stairs, you have to pay attention of where you're walking, and you have to think, all right, I'm at the synagogue, I have to think about stuff like that. And then if you can see in that picture, that just gave me a thrill. I sat in the seat of Moses, and that seat is where Jesus sat at. I sat exactly where Jesus sat at. And that's where a rabbi would have sat, or the focus, or the person that had the issue. This is to show you how Chorazin was very wealthy because they made stone pottery. And then when Jesus went over there to tell them that you're focusing too much on your pottery or too much on your money, it just kind of made me think of how in today's life, how much we focus on our money and how we're going to get through the next couple months. And when we know that God's going to provide for us. And this was cool, though, because Jesus showed them all these miracles. And he showed them like different miracles that he wouldn't have shown like people like different cities. But no, it's fine. So this is a map of to show you where I've been so far. So I've been up in that northern part, and we're about to go a little bit more south. And then this is the Sea of Galilee, and then you see down there is the Dead Sea. This is the Sea of Galilee, and what was so cool here, this is probably one of my other favorite places, because when I was on the sea, we got on this awesome looking boat, and I just looked out on the water, and I thought of those stories that my dad or my Sunday school teachers told me about. And I looked, and I could imagine Peter walking on that water to God, how he was so excited to get to him. Or when Peter, again, swims out to get to God on this island. And it was just amazing to me. And that's where they fed the 5,000. And this was really cool because when they told me how he did this is They don't have like microphones like I have one now. He would be on the Sea of Galilee, and he would speak out, and his voice would project from that angle to like speak to these people, and just to see how that's where all those people sat, and that's where I can imagine the disciples giving them the food. This is Masada. Now Masada was probably one of my other favorite places we went to, and the history about Masada is that it was King Herod's palace, like backup palace, in case like the Jews revolted or his parents visited. No, I'm kidding about that. The parents, not that, but definitely if the Jews revolted. And but he never actually went there though. So like that was just kind of cool but it was always well fed. Like they had much crops there, and they had a lot of food there. And then the Jews, if you can go back to that last one, then the Jews came here, and since the Romans were attacking them, and they prayed to God, "Oh God, please like send something down to kill these Romans. That way we're not slaves." And but they didn't do anything about it. I mean, from that experience, I took that, yeah, you can pray about things, but if you don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. And eventually they had to kill themselves, and 5 did survive, though. 2 women and 3 children. This is like what the wilderness would have looked like when he went out there for the 40 days before he was crucified. Now, I don't know about you, but when I thought about a wilderness, I think about like a jungle or like a rainforest. But the desert, or the wilderness, was like that desert, and how dry it was, and how hard it would have been. All right. This is the Dead Sea. And this is kind of cool because the water was salt water, so you can swim in this. And yeah, I know you guys are probably thinking that, yeah, that's gross, but I'm wearing mud. But actually it helps your skin, it's supposed to. You ladies out there, but that's how they get a lot of money. This is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were. And this was very cool, I thought, because a person my age just got done with his chores, and we're always bored somehow. That's a tip. And so he was probably throwing rocks and trying to hit the targets or the caves. And when he threw a rock up there, it hit a scroll, and he heard something break. And then the next day he told one of his family members, and they checked it out, and they found those scrolls in 1947. These are some streets and sights of our Lord Jesus. This is what a street would have looked like on a daily basis. Like they didn't have Walmart, they didn't have Meijer or Target or wherever you want. They had a bunch of markets, and it was very specific. I mean, even when you go to Israel now, it's so specific on what you need. But they have like everything. And then those are like pillars that were actually there when Jesus was walking and carrying his cross. That's where he would have been. That was just a show.